I would say, and I don't know if this is legal, Hey Sela Bellas, and welcome back to my channel. Today's comment shout out goes to Pravi Dolan. The comment is, thanks for the motivation, Selina. We all need it, especially during this difficult season. God bless. If you would like a shout out in my next video, make sure to leave a comment on this one or to engage with me on my Instagram. I often get questions about finances. How do we manage our finances? How do you buy a house? How do you buy a car? And in the beginning of last year, I actually met with a banking institution because I was supposed to collab with them and give like professional advice and maybe host like a class or something that has to do with finances from a professional, but that didn't work out. So your loss, banking institution. And I just want to say before we get into this video, I have no financial background. I am just giving you answers to things that I know and that I've picked up over the past few years of being an adult, basically. So last year, towards the end of last year, I asked you guys some questions on things relating to finances, and I've taken screenshots and kept them aside.
Did I not? Oh, wow. I almost thought I didn't save the screenshots. Wow. Okay.
How to save tips to purchase a property. Okay. So the biggest thing that I could say you should save money for when buying a property is your bond and transfer costs. Okay. So when you buy a property that has been owned by someone before you move in, you need to pay attorneys to transfer the property from the previous owner's name onto your owner's name. When you buy a property that's on somebody else's name, you need to pay attorneys to transfer that property from the previous owner to your name, and that costs money. The cost varies for that based on the purchase price of the property, but it is quite hefty. Like I think for our previous property, we paid about 20,000 in transfer costs and about 20,000 in bond costs. Then you've got bond costs where, if I'm not mistaken, you pay this also to attorneys to initiate your bond. They register the bond, they get everything done with the banks, and you pay them. I can't exactly remember who gets the bond costs, but there are attorneys that you pay a bond and transfer cost to. And the third thing that I can say that you need to save money for when buying a house is a deposit. You can purchase a property without a deposit, but obviously if you put a deposit up front, it brings your installments down just like when you buy anything else. And then if you can afford to save even more money on top of that, save for things that you will need in the future, like obviously your furniture, your groceries. The first time you go grocery shopping after you leave your parents' house is the most expensive in my opinion, because you have nothing. You have to literally buy everything. We started already buying like dishes and bedding and things like that, so we had some stuff, but then things like we had to buy everything like salt, turmeric, chili powder. We had none, like zero groceries. There's also fees that we didn't know about when we bought our first property. For example, you have to register an account with your local municipality in order for them to connect your electricity and for you to have an account with them. Then in this property that we live in, we had to pay to connect our electricity with the service provider. It's all prepaid, so we had to pay to connect electricity. Then there's also things like your water, sometimes that's in your levies, or your electricity. If it's prepaid, you need to buy electricity, or you need to pay the municipality, rates and taxes, and also levies. If you live in a complex, I'm not sure if freestanding houses have levies, but if you live in a complex, you have to pay levies to the body corp, and I think that's what they use to manage the property better. Do you invest into companies? If so, how? Any agents you use, or do you do it by yourself? Okay, I've mentioned this before. On FNB, they have something called a share saver. You can invest as little as 300 Rand a month, and FNB invests it into like the top 40 companies or something like that. So basically, they take that money and they invest it into different companies on your behalf if you don't have the knowledge of how to invest. Another thing I can suggest is if you go on the JSE website, they answer every single question. How do I invest? What do I need to invest? I think they talk about Forex there also. So go on the JSE website and see and learn more about how to invest. Unfortunately, I have not made time to learn about investing. I would like to learn about investing and I would like to invest in companies. I just need to make time to actually do that. How to budget, like what ratios you use. Okay, First thing that we take off is 10% for tithing. We Christians, we believe that it is important to give God back his 10%. He's literally only asking for 10%, nothing more. And we believe that God can do far more with the 90% than the 100%, if you understand what I'm saying. So first of all, we tithe. Secondly, we write down all our bills. So our bond, cars, Wi-Fi, electricity, levies, rates, groceries, cell phones, credit card, student loans, whatever bills you have that you know are monthly occurrences, write that down and write how much money you need to allocate to each bill. Then if you want to save, I would say 5% maybe is a good amount to save per month. However, I also know that saving money is a privilege. Not everyone can afford to save money. Sometimes you literally only make enough money to pay for your bills, and that's fine. But if you can afford to save, I would say that I think 5% is a good amount to save. And I would say put it in an interest-bearing account. So some banks do 32-day accounts where you can't access your money unless you give a 32-day notice period. And the more money you put into that account and the longer it sits in that account, the more interest it gets. Investing is a good way to get more money than what you put in. And I think that you can definitely save like by putting it under the mattress type of method where it just gathers, or you can be smart with your savings and put it in something that grows, like a retirement annuity or something like that. A retirement annuity is also something quite important. For example, when I worked at Disney or when I worked in any office job actually, I never had a retirement policy at any of my companies. So I opened my own retirement annuity with Alexander Forbes, and when I'm 65 I can take that money out, which is a very long time from now. But also if you work for a company that doesn't offer a retirement policy, I suggest getting a retirement annuity by yourself. How to use your credit card wisely. I have so much debt due to unnecessary purchases. First of all, don't make unnecessary purchases. I know it's hard, but you need to understand what your end goal is. Why did you get your credit card? Is it to help you in tough situations? Is it to boost your credit score? Or is it because you want to live a lavish life? And I think one of the things that so many of us do, and I think it's because of what we see in the media and what we see on social media, so many people want to live life above their means, which means that if you can only afford to buy a handbag from Edgar's, why are you using a credit card to go buy a Aldo handbag or even a Louis Vuitton handbag? If you can't afford it, why are you doing this? Who are you trying to be flashy to? Who are you trying to impress? I would say, and I don't know if this is legal, but I would say cut up that credit card so you don't have access to it. I would also say, and I'm not sure if this is possible, remove it from your banking app, because if you cut up your credit card, you can you transfer money from a credit card? I don't know, but you can easily access those funds from your banking app. Set a monthly debit order from your check account or whichever account your salary comes into. Set a recurring debit order for your credit card repayment to go off every month, and maybe even try and put in a little more. Cut up the card or get rid of it, give it to someone who you know is not gonna, give it to your mother, I don't know. Just don't use your credit card. Try not to make purchases from there. Remember your end goal. Your end goal is to be financially free. Well, your end goal should be to be financially free, to set up your family and to live a life of not paying silly debt. Like a credit card, I think paying for a credit card is a silly debt. Having a credit card is a smart thing. Anyway, in a very long-winded way, what I'm trying to say is give your card to someone if you know you have a problem with spending. Try and remove it from your banking app if that's possible, and set up a monthly recurring payment from your check account or your savings account or wherever your salary comes into to pay off your credit card every month. You need to have discipline. How to plan your finances smartly when starting your own small business. This is how I did mine. Okay, first of all, I registered my business with CIPC, so I have a private company. Secondly, I have a bank account, I have a tax number. When you run a business, even if you run a business from home, with a tax number and with a registered business, there are certain things you can claim for. For example, I use this for business, the business pays for this. I use my laptop for business, the business pays for that. This is my office space, so even though I don't pay rent here, I pay a portion of the electricity bill. So what my accountants did was they asked me for the size of our property, and they asked me for the amount of electricity that we buy per month. They did a calculation and they gave me a percentage of that I could use. Basically, that percentage was like the size of my office that I use in this house. So when you have a business, I think it's very important to have either a financial manager, a business manager, or an accountant, someone who knows what you can claim for legally and how you can claim for it. Like I said, my cell phone, my laptop, and electricity are things that the business pays for. So it kind of takes financial strain off Selina and puts it on my business. And also, I think it's important when you have a business account to think of it as not your money. Even though my business profile is on my internet banking, and I can see it every time I log into my banking app, I can see my business account there. I always think of it as, this is not my money. This is the business's money, and I can't just take my card and go swipe if I want a new pair of shoes or whatever it is. I need to use that money for things that add value to my business. For example, I'm planning a video where I supported some of my followers' businesses. So because that is a video that I'm creating for YouTube, and YouTube gives me money, I use my business card because it is a business expense to buy those things. The earlier parts of adulting, like opening accounts for the credit history, etc. You have to have some type of account to your name, because when you want to apply for finance for a car or for a house, the financial institution needs to see that you have a record of a monthly payment going off your account, and that you make good on those payments. That every month when that money goes off your account, there is money in your account, the payment goes off fine, and you are paying your monthly debt. So I would say get a cell phone. Everybody needs a cell phone. Everyone uses a cell phone. So you can get a cell phone and pay a monthly contract, and that is a monthly recurring account on your name that improves your credit score if you are managing it correctly. Clothing accounts, I would not advise to get a clothing account. I remember when we started going to the gym, I opened a Mr. Price account because I wanted new gym clothes, and it took me forever to close that account because I kept buying clothes on account, and it was a problem. I think this was like 2014 or something, and it wasn't good. And I'm so happy that I closed that account, because the way my life is set up with me and Mr. Price home, I would have done damage with that account. So I don't advise getting clothing accounts, but a cell phone is something that you need. Even if you're living with your parents, maybe ask to put the Wi-Fi on your name, because then that's also a monthly payment. Any investments that actually help money to grow other than our side hustles. Property is a huge one, and I know that not everybody can afford to buy multiple properties, but property is a huge investment. It's a pain in the butt, but it's also a huge investment. Like I said, research investing in companies, go to the JSE, check your bank, they should offer something like that. Also, someone told me, and I don't know how this works, but it just sounds very cool, to invest in gold and silver. That sounds very cool. I don't know how much money you would need to invest in something like that, but I think one of the things that are easier to do is have an account that is an interest-bearing account. Like I said, a 32-day account or something like that, where you keep money in your account, and over time it builds interest. How to start saving? Just start, guys. You have to start. Like I said, not everyone can afford to save, but if you can afford to save, you need to start. Set it up as a monthly recurring payment, again, into your savings account, and ignore it forever. Oh, please advise on supporting extended family financially. Example, black tax. Wow. When I lived with my mother, and when I moved in with Trevino's parents, we didn't live there for free. I think once we started earning money, we were like, you guys need to pay now. So we did contribute financially towards the household. Because we have two households to run, we don't give our parents money monthly like we would like to. However, we do spoil them. I know that's not what black tax is, but what we can afford to do is treat them. So we'll either go out for supper and cover the whole bill, or buy them nice gifts, or just spoil them and show them affection in like the form of giving them gifts, because right now where we are, we cannot afford to give them money monthly, even though we would like to. But I would love to get to a place where I can pay off their houses, buy them cars. That is a dream for me. And watching all these American YouTubers do it is like, when is it my turn? I would love to do that. Love to do that. I would even like to buy one of you guys a car and a house, okay? So keep watching my ads so I can afford to buy you guys a house one day, okay? How do you go about to apply for a bond, transfer costs, etc.? The whole process confuses me. Okay, I would say get in touch with an estate agent first. That is your first point of contact, because your estate agent, and this is how it went for us. Our estate agent put us in touch with a bond originator who asked for all our documents, like how much you earn, your ID, blah, blah, blah. And they do mathematician thingies and they see what can you afford. So how much will you get pre-approved for? And they work with the banks, and then the bank will be like, okay, FNB will be like, okay, I'm gonna give you only 750,000. Standard Bank will be like, no, but I'm giving you 1 million rand. And then basically you see your affordability based on what the banks are giving you and also what they want you to pay them back in. Because let me tell you, interest on a house is rough. I think someone told me that the interest you pay back on your house is like your first 5 years of paying. That's you. The first 5 years of you paying your bond is just you paying your interest, something like that. So first of all, get in touch with an estate agent. They'll put you in touch with a bond originator and they'll guide you from there. Literally find a good estate agent that is willing to answer all your questions, because if you're anything like me, I always have a lot of questions to ask when it comes to finances. So first point of contact will be finding an estate agent and asking them to help you get a bond originator to see what your bond will be, if you can, to see how much the banks are going to give you to buy a house. That a must when obtaining financing, or can someone single like myself do this alone? Me and you can buy a house. I didn't know that. When we were first buying a house, I'm like, when we bought our first house, we weren't married. So I'm like, is this going to be a problem? And they were like, no, you can buy a house with anybody. So I didn't know that. You can literally buy a house with anybody. You and I can buy a house now, you know? So it doesn't matter that you're single. It doesn't matter if you're buying a house with your cousin or whatever. And the one thing that I did find out that I think is very interesting, if you have a degree, you get a better interest rate. And I didn't know that. And I think that's very smart. Finally, my degree is doing something. Someone asked if we have disagreements involving money. We don't, because we're both on the same page in terms of our budget. Our budget is shared between both of us. Like, we can access the budgets, like it doesn't matter. We both know what's important to pay, which is our house. And we also know how much, we also keep each other accountable. So if one person wants to go wild and buy Uber Eats every single day of the week, the other person will be like, you know, there's food in the fridge, like calm down, we don't need to be that. We don't need to be spending unnecessarily like that. Easiest way to start saving without being broke, without feeling broke. Start small. Start with a 3% of your monthly salary. Start with a 5% of your monthly salary. And remember, put it in an account where you're going to see your money grow. Because then maybe that 300 Rand a month is not going to feel so to get rid of when you see that it's growing monthly. How do you know when you're ready to buy a house? I guess you just need to take that plunge. There's so much flies in here. Investing in property is something very important. And what is this? I don't think in the Indian community it's emphasized enough how important it is to have assets that are going to appreciate in the future. Everyone, like especially for women, it's always about you need to learn how to cook, you need to learn. No, invest, make your money grow, make your money work for you. Don't work for your money, let your money work for you. I don't think there's ever a right time that you know that you're ready to buy a house. If you can afford it, get it. If you cannot afford it, find someone who can help you afford it. Get tenants in there, let them pay off the bond. You know, I don't like saying the skin the cat one. There's many different ways that you can go about doing this. I think that if you are working and you have a stable job, get a house. It doesn't matter whether it's a 1-bedroom, whether it's a 10-bedroom, get property, even commercial property. I would like to buy a commercial property that I can rent out to a business to run their business monthly from there. Maybe try look into commercial property. I don't think there's a right time that you need to buy a house. If you have the ability, buy a house. And then the last question that I'm going to answer that everyone seems to ask all the time is, how did we afford to buy 2 houses at such a young age? Alright, first of all, the first place that we bought that we are looking for tenants for now, Jesus, thank you for our tenants, is on my name. This house is on Trevino's name. And why I think that is wise is because banks aren't always going to give person A 5 million rand in like the space of 2 years or whatever it is. They're not going to be they're going to be a little bit reluctant to give one person multiple home loans. Whereas opposed to in a marriage, there's 2 people with 2 salaries, 2 expenses. He has his own expenses, I have my own expenses. He has his own credit score, I have my own credit score. So to us, it made more sense that the bank would want to give one person X amount of money and the second person another amount of money, so we could buy 2 properties. One is an investment, one is where we stay. And also, it's not like this is Trevino's house and the other house was in my house. For us, it was just a wiser thing to do. And also, I think that if I had 2 houses on my name, or if he had 2 houses on his name, that would mean the other person would have like 2 cars. Well, we don't have 2 cars now. We'll have like 2 cars on their name, which me as a consumer, like I said, not knowing much about the financial industry and how things work, I don't see a bank giving one person so much money in such a short space of time. Yeah, so for us, it was just a wiser decision to buy one on his name, one on my name. Maybe in the future we'll buy a house together, I don't know. But also the reason that we didn't take this house on my name was because I am no longer an employee of anybody's company. I am an employee of Sela, and I think that the agent here told me you need to have Sela's finances in check for 3 years, and the business has only been open for like what, 6 months now. So I'll have to wait until I can put something on my name. I know that I said I was going to do it with Trevino, and I would have preferred it to do it with Trevino because I feel like he gets straight to the point and I'm just running around trying to figure out what to say. But maybe we can do a part 2 of this if you guys would like. Comment below with your questions, DM me your questions, and let me know what other financial related questions, adulting related questions you guys have. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, to share, comment below. Follow me on Instagram. Check out my merch business on Instagram. Help me buy you a house one day. And see you guys every Tuesday, Friday, and Sunday at 12:30 for a new video. Bye, Selabellas.